Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I am Mike here with my podcast partner, Jen,
Yeah.
and welcome back.
Right.
We had a really good episode last week. We're going to have another good one this week, hopefully. Who knows?
You
But if
know,
you don't know what Otakuology is, we are a podcast to talk about anime, manga, movies, whatever we want to talk about, basically.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
I forgot what I was even going to say now.
So what's up with you, sir?
Nothing much.
Yeah.
Just trying to do the marketing part of this stuff and
Do you know that's been one of the most challenging parts of
marketing,
having a podcast? Yes.
right?
Well, marketing and promoting yourself.
Right. Well, you want to know a side story that's pretty bad?
Maybe, I guess.
Okay. So, as a lot of people out there know, like I'm single and everything. So I have one of the dating websites that I'm on, and this person started talking to me that likes anime and manga.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically turned around and took the opportunity to throw out the podcast and be like, "Hey, would you like to listen to my podcast?"
Is that your opening? Is that your opening pickup line? Hey,
No,
I got a podcast. You want to listen to
no,
it?
it was not. But that was just the opportunity that I took and ran with.
Do you like backwards comic books and cartoons you have to read subtitled?
I can't tell if that's not on your thing. I'm not sure.
If you consider Avatar: The Last Airbender an anime, I can't date you. Is that what are your qualifications?
Definitely, I'm gonna change it on my thing now. I almost feel like that's probably what I need to do is just make a joke one and see which one does better.
Instead of like down like DTF, it's down to watch anime.
DTA,
Yeah, DTA.
I guess.
Yes.
I never even thought about DTF. So
Oh, okay. That's cool. So what have you been up to, sir, since the last time we podcast, which was Monday? Right?
well, Monday's today. So
like last Monday.
oh, I have no idea the last time we did anything because it's kind of been a crapshoot. I just know we both go. We pod tonight? Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's hop on. All right. We only got such and such time to do it. Okay. Let's go. All right. Next night. Do we have time? No. We don't have time. Such and such is going on. Okay. All right. Next one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would probably say all last week just kind of felt like it ran together, and
Yeah.
I couldn't exactly tell you what nights we even potted on or anything
Mm-hmm.
else. So
Yeah. It all runs together. You know.
I just know that we try and like talk about it ahead of time a little bit, and then it's like
Mm-hmm.
underneath like any notes that I read, I'm like due to change drastically
Yeah, that is for sure.
because there's just no
Usually,
telling.
usually on your part.
Whatever bullshit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just saying.
So,
Anyways,
yeah,
so what have you been doing?
I've been watching TV
Yeah, I've done
and
nothing.
um just basically watching TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean practicing cooking a little bit, but I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
So I started updating or trying to update our advertising game on the Instagram,
Right?
trying to find a way that's more eye catching than just screenshotting our
Right?
Spotify and then
I
throwing it
I've
up
seen it.
there.
I've seen it. I think it looks pretty sexy.
Just saying, I worked on that like for like 15 minutes,
Right?
and I have to say, I think it turned out pretty nice.
It did. I saw Papa Weed throw out a shout out on that,
Yeah,
and when I saw it, I was like, man, that thing looks really sexy.
I know, right? It was
Yeah,
really good. I feel like it's an easier way to like advertise a show. Hopefully, it gets people to watch us or not watch us, listen to us. We're an
yeah.
audio podcast.
People to sit there and say, oh, these guys are professionals.
Yeah, we're professionals. But if you would like to shout out the podcast, be my guest, please, because
Professionally,
that's the best way
professionally
to grow.
insane in the membrane.
Yeah. But I was, since you looked or you kept insisting that we have merchandise,
Yeah,
and I was like, okay. And I happened to see a video, and I'm kind of dabbling with the merchandise thing a little bit.
yeah,
We'll see if people buy it. I don't know. But we got to design the merchandise first.
yeah. And I like designing crap.
Like
So
t-shirts and hoodies.
yeah,
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. We're
right.
not in a hurry to do it, but
We're not. We're
if
not. We might try and do like a con or something or whatever, and go from there.
I'm not doing a fucking con.
I'll go to a con.
I'm not doing a con.
Be like, Mike, there's a con right up the street from your house.
I don't
I'm
have
I'm I'm there.
I don't have time to do a con.
I'll be like, I bought us a booth and everything.
I don't have time to do one, okay?
Yeah.
But we'll try to get a merch store set up.
So
And
what you're saying is we need to be like Jay and Silent Bob and get our own fake little clone guys to go do it for us.
yeah.
Hey, didn't I see y'all at the thing? Maybe.
Yeah. But anyways.
Wouldn't that be funny if we rented out booths and stuff at like 4 or 5 different cons all at the same weekend,
You know how fucking hard that is?
and then had like people dress up as you and I and actually go?
We have
Go.
to be famous first, okay?
Hey, we're getting there.
It's
Did
like
you look?
it's like a snail's pace.
Did you look at our analytics? We're almost to $10.
I saw 1% of the Brazilian population listens to us.
We're almost to $10.
I know.
Which I was talking to somebody about it today. They were asking me, "Oh yeah, crap! I forgot I promoted it again today to somebody else."
But I mean, honestly, like the money part really doesn't matter to me that much.
No, I just feel like it's easier to say that, but then when people get in depth, they're like, "Oh, that's not a lot." And then I just want to be like,
It's a
"Asshole."
it's a lot when every listen's like a penny.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what the person told me today. They're like, I said, I said every listen's a penny, but I said, when you sit there and think about it,
You have to actually listen
like,
to the ad first.
like if we're almost at $10, like we're actually at 1,000 listens, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
big.
that's big in my eyes.
It is really big. I mean, think about how often like people put out like a manga tuber that starts out or something,
Yeah,
because you and I both did it, and how long it said, oh well, 25 watches, like,
yeah.
okay, well if that was actual change and whatnot, that's 25 cents.
Man, I'm lucky if my YouTube videos nowadays break over like a couple hundred.
Right.
You
See,
know?
and that would be $2 right there. You could, if
Yeah,
you look at it as price tag on everything, then it's like, at least the good thing is it's like for every show we put out, even if it is, you don't have to be discouraged, because
yeah,
like with us,
yeah.
everything gets filtered into like the overall podcast, which is,
hmm
I think, the thing that YouTube should look into, because with the thing with YouTube is it's all per each show.
I mean, episode or a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just, I feel like the podcasting aspect of it works better than the vlogging aspect
I
of it.
mean, YouTube's been like YouTube is kind of like
Dead.
no, not dead. Like you got to get like a certain amount of watch time and
Right.
stuff like that. I mean, like we're like small fries in the podcasting world. And I mean, $10 to us is like
Whoa,
nothing,
whoa,
but
whoa, whoa. We can't say that we're small fries. We have to use correct terms. We're up and coming.
Okay, up and coming podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, you want to get into the subject?
definitely.
So today we're talking about something special. I don't know if it's actually special, but it's another discussion topic.
Yeah,
And
it's special like our Gundam abilities
yeah, and it's a topic that goes around
and comes around
and comes around
and
every couple of year or so, like a
and,
year or so,
and goes around.
and goes around and comes around, and new people pick up this topic. I think we talked about this topic maybe at least 3 times,
I
maybe
I think it's been more than that.
probably more because it gets brought back up within the manga tube community
Yeah, many times.
many times. And people like to jump on the bandwagon. Well, I feel like the bandwagon's not existent at the moment, so we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like the bandwagon's dead too.
It's dead. Anyways, we are going to talk about manga demographics. Now, Jin, what
Yes.
exactly is the definition of manga demographic?
Oh, it's basically who the manga is made for out of, well, over here it's 4 categories.
Yeah.
So
And go ahead, sorry.
it's just who's going to be able to read it and watch it and
Yeah.
stuff.
So we are going to talk about this. Do we actually need manga demographics? Are they important? So on and so forth.
Pros,
But
cons,
what?
pros and cons.
Pros and cons,
And would Karen write home about it?
I don't know if Karens actually read manga.
I don't think so either.
I don't think those they're probably too uppity up and not reading anything.
Right. I agree.
It's probably too offensive to them.
That's true too.
Anyways, so let's get into some of the manga demographics. And these are some of the most common categories. I went on the Google machine, as the kids like to call it, and I Googled some stuff. This is what I learned from the Google. So the first one is Kodoma. Is it Kodoma? Kodomo, which is, sorry for my pronunciations. Kodomo is for younger children, around about 10 years old. I couldn't find any of these Kodoma mangas,
or what we consider
or
to be
what we
Kodomo.
consider them to be Kodomo mangas. But I'm guessing it's probably something like maybe like Yokai Watch. I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would probably put Yokai Watch in that field, and this other one that I've read, Zozo Zombie,
Mm-hmm.
possibly Pokemon. I'm kind of iffy on Pokemon.
I think Pokemon's a little bit older.
And then,
Might be at that like that line, that threshold.
yeah, and then I would probably put Gone on that list too.
Oh yeah, probably Gone. But Gone's like a fucking asshole. He's a little fucking asshole dinosaur.
And how?
Yeah. I would probably maybe Gone, maybe I'm not for sure. So I don't remember what the demographic for Gone is.
It's a surprise.
Yeah, it's about a little dinosaur. Anyways, the next one is probably the most popular manga demographic, and that is shonen. And shonen is for boys roughly around 12 to 18 years old.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is probably the most shocking thing that I've learned, is that shonen goes up to like 18.
Right.
I thought it was younger than that. That was pretty shocking.
Oh, that it stops at?
Yeah, it stops at 18. Like I thought it was like it skewed a little younger.
Yeah.
But boy, was I wrong. Which we'll get to that later. Which we'll talk about that later. Then we have shoujo, which is for girls roughly around 12 to 18. Same thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like shonen manga for girls, you know.
Yeah.
Then we have josei, which is for young women roughly around 18 to 40.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about josei. Do you know anything about josei?
I do.
Okay, what do you know?
That it's the opposite of seinen.
I know, but do you know any like manga?
Oh yeah. Uh. Crap.
Did you lose your thought, your train of thought? Did
No,
you go
I was
blank?
sitting there thinking about Natsumi's Book of Friends, but then I think that they still classify that one as a shojo.
Okay,
So it would. Hold on, give me 1 second to think real quick,
all right.
because then it could be like Shonen Sunday.
Do I need to pause the podcast?
No, and then if we'll just go with my train of thought. So should be like Shonen Sunday because Shonen Sunday actually isn't shonen. It's just a demographic that they have. So it would be like Oku.
Well, I mean,
The,
Shonen Sundays like
yeah, so it would be like Oku the Inner Chambers or uh, Descending Stories or What Did You Eat Yesterday?
I mean, Shonen Sundays is just like an imprint for Shonen Jump.
Right.
You know, it's
So
because Cross Game is under that, and so is Hide and Closer.
yeah,
Is for Shonen Sundays.
yeah,
You know. Anyways,
yeah.
I don't know much about that because I'm not a woman in my 40s, so who knows? This one I was surprised about. This is
Hey,
probably the only other thing that I was surprised
hey,
about.
you know the funny thing though?
What?
You still have time if you want to make that decision to be a woman in your
I know, right?
40s.
I know. Anyways,
Stay tuned while we figure out what Mike would like to see.
next, which I never heard this terminology before.
Yeah,
But it's called lady comics, and lady comics are a female equivalent to arrow manga, which arrow manga is basically a hentai.
right.
And then we have seinen manga, which is for young men roughly around 18 to 40. And like I said before earlier, we had like hentai arrow manga, which was for uh, men, like guys.
Yeah,
Which I didn't know they separated like the hentai for like girls and guys. You know, that was interesting.
right.
Then we have like what's the other one? There's like the uh, Yon Coma, which is like 4 panel strips. Silver and Gold manga, which is for older readers. I'm guessing like old people.
Well, I actually know of a bunch of it the second trend, the Kuma or Coma.
The Yon Coma.
Yeah. So over here we just call it Coma.
Yeah, the four coma
Yeah, and
comics.
and that's usually all the like rip off ones of main
Hmm.
series and stuff
Yeah,
where
it's
it's
like
the
the
joke
joke. It's
stuff.
like the joke manga.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I have one of those. It's okay.
Right. This is probably strongly the area that I of manga that I actually don't really like. I just
Yeah.
support.
So then
So
we have Silver and Gold, which is for old people. Which I don't think we get any of that over here.
sure we do. I bet it's like Astro Boy.
No,
Silver and
no,
gold.
no. And then we have hobby manga, which is like golf, pachinko, and fishing. That's what it's giving as examples.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have educational and information manga, which those are your manga demographics right there.
Yeah.
So let's get into this discussion. Jan, when was it? When was it when you first learned about manga demographics?
Um as a whole.
Yeah, as a whole.
Uh I don't know. Cause I found out like shonen and shojo,
Uh huh.
but the way that that was presented to me was that shonen was for the boys, so that
Mm-hmm.
would have included like seinen, and that
Uh
shojo
huh.
was for girls, but that would have also included josei.
Yeah.
So And somebody told me that, and I was like, oh, okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I always thought it was for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably didn't actually even know about any of that stuff until I started Manga
Mm-hmm.
too.
Okay. Okay. Well, I didn't even know about any of that until I started manga too. I had
Yeah,
no idea, like, there were like demographics for different types of manga, and they separated the sexes. I had no idea
yeah,
that that was a thing, and I was like, why? Why are they doing that?
right.
That's so odd that they would separate the genders for manga.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just always found that odd to think about in like a way,
yeah. I agree.
and I don't know. I as somebody who got into manga demographic or manga later in life, in his late 20s, I don't know. I just never really paid attention to demographics.
Right,
So I kind of feel like I'm maybe like an outlier or like, the odd man out
right. And I
when it
agree to that.
when it comes to like manga and what I like type of thing.
Yeah,
I never every time I pick up a book, I never look at the demographic ever.
right,
I'm just like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I want to read it."
right.
You know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you
I feel exactly the same way because for me, like I look at the genre over the
uh-huh.
demographic for it because who knows?
Would you say that possibly that a lot of readers mistake demographics for genres?
Yes,
How so?
because I feel like people use them and say, "Oh, well, this is what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to base it off of." And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people have that stipulation that it has to be off of this because of that
Mm-hmm.
that type of
Mm-hmm.
deal. But then the other thing you got to remember when it comes down to it is most of the time it just depends on where whoever publishes it.
Yeah.
And so it could be over in Japan one of the other things and come over here and be called something different. Just like the Kodama stuff, all that stuff, how it's
Uh-huh.
set up is it's shonen, but technically it's not.
I mean, it's usually just like a four-panel joke manga to me.
Yeah. Well, not that one. The little kid one.
Oh, the little kid one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
Yeah.
they do have their own line called Viz
They,
Kids.
yeah. They just it, but don't they? Didn't they kind of like get away from that, or do they still do that?
I think they do because Zozo Zombie is considered Viz Kids, but
Okay.
they don't put a lot of stuff out for it.
Because I think like the last thing I saw that was under the Viz Kids line was like Zelda.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
Right. I mean, there's stuff everywhere about all of it.
like
So
I find it really interesting when I'm reading a manga and it's like it's popular, and you think it's one demographic, but it turns out to be a completely different demographic.
exactly.
And how misinformed we are as like readers. I find that really interesting that we just assume, or people will just assume that it's one thing when it's actually something else. And like I'm going to use this as an example, but like a silent voice.
Right.
Everybody thought a silent voice was like a shojo or something like that.
Right.
And then people started to say, "Oh no, it's a shonen because of the way it's drawn and how it has like the thick lines."
Right.
And I'm like, is there like a specific shonen style to like to draw? Like, is there?
Right.
And then I'm like, oh wait, no, it's just about how where it's published.
Right.
And one that One that still baffles me, but I love to bring it up, is World's End Harem.
Yeah,
And people are like, no, no, that's not a shonen.
that's
I'm
gonna
like,
be
yeah,
Arrow.
that's gotta be Arrow. And I'm like, it's published in the same magazine as Spy X Family.
Right.
Like, I don't know. And Kaiju 8, number 8. And
Yeah.
I was like, it shows you that, you know, a lot of people, whenever you think of shonen, you automatically go to battle shonen, which is a genre. But like when you really sit back and think about it, um, when you just say shonen as like a genre, that you're wrong, because it can be whatever anybody wants it to be. You know,
Right.
it can be a romance, a sports manga, a comedy, a drama, you know, a sci-fi epic,
Right.
you, a battle shonen, you know, anything, you know.
Right. And people don't get that.
People don't get that, and I'm like we are so misinformed when it seems like of what something we perceive something as.
Right.
And I
Now,
always okay, sorry,
now,
go ahead.
do you think because I feel like we're naming off a bunch of things that are pros for genre, but
Uh-huh.
cons for demographics.
Uh-huh.
So, can you think of any pros for demographics? Like, what if we were going to do away with that type of system and just use the genres that we know?
If we use like the genres that we know, I'd be like sci-fi, romance, fantasy.
Do you think doing that would help or hurt manga more?
That I don't really know, because it has been so ingrained in the manga fandom
Yeah,
to think shojo, shonen, seinen, I guess josei. I'm leaving josei out there because I don't know anything about josei.
yeah.
Which I think I might have like one josei title,
You know what? Thinking about it, Beauty and the Beast girl may be a
maybe.
josei. Maybe.
That's because I have My Boy, and I don't know what My Boy falls under, and I
Oh
want to say
yeah,
it might be josei,
yeah. I don't know that one either.
but I don't know because I can never find a demographic for it. I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
If somebody knows, please let me know. Is My Boy a josei manga? Please let me know.
yeah.
Um, but what was the question?
What do you think
Oh,
that it helps or hurts using
I
demographics?
I think it kind of hurts,
Yeah,
because of the fact that, as somebody who's been in the manga collecting and who has collected so like in a different way that I see a lot of younger people do, and some older people do it too,
right,
but a lot of the younger people seem to rely heavily on those labels for the demographics.
right.
And I think it kind of hinders them, maybe because of their thought process,
Yeah,
because they're like, oh, I got to get this one demographic. I can't potentially spread out and evolve and check out new things.
right,
You know, I have to stay in my lane. If I stay in my lane, I won't get into an accident, or maybe people will think I'm stupid for checking out something else
right.
because
Which
I just,
I feel like that's a thing where a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot, honestly,
uh huh,
with that is the fact that they say stuff like that. And, just like our good friend of the podcast, Bizarre Individual,
mm-hmm.
um, says, there's some people that are still misinformed because they'll say,
Yeah,
oh, this is the top 10 best shojo or whatever. And then it'll be like, that's not even what it is. That's
yeah,
something entirely different.
yeah,
You don't know, but that's the thing is people call it that. you
Yeah.
know, and then you find out that it's not, and basically then you have kind of this weird
Yeah.
community structure where people want to like jump on you for it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I've had like when I was on Twitter, and I was new to the whole manga thing,
Yeah,
I had people in like the shojo community like come at me. And I had people tell me
come at me, bro. Come at me.
they had people. I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I think I want to check that out." Or like, I might have checked something out, and I wanted to get into the conversation. They were like, "Stay the fuck out of here. You're a fucking man. You don't know what
Yeah,
you're talking about. You
yeah,
can't read shojo manga." And I'm like, "Where does it say that I can't read something because I'm a dude, or vice versa?
right,
Who fucking put those stipulations on gender?
right,
You know?" And I
exactly.
was like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna read what the fuck I want to read."
Yeah, I mean, but that's how it is, though, and it always happens that way, you know.
And I was like, "Shit!" Like, I'm not gonna discourage somebody from reading a manga that they could potentially enjoy, regardless if it was not their quote demographic or not.
Right,
I'm gonna be like, "Hey, check it out. Let me know how it is." Or if it's one that I've already read, like I wanted to get their opinion on it, see what they think of it, because their viewpoint is going to be probably completely different than my viewpoint.
right. Do you, so do you ever think? Because I know there's a couple times where we had stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
happen, where people would sit there and complain and bitch and be like, "Oh, well, we don't have this shonen or this shojo coming over here or
Oh
whatever."
yeah.
And do you think that maybe part of it could be the reason that they discourage those other people from reading it because, quote unquote, you are a man that wanted to read it or something like that?
Possibly, or maybe like, 'cause I remember hearing about that, and you'd be like, "Oh, I want this shojo title to come out over here," and I'm like, "Well, if you want it to come out over here, like, make your voice heard, but make your voice heard in the proper channels."
Right,
Like, don't just scream about it online. Like, you know, like one of the best examples I can get people is Seven Seas does the, "Hey, what license would you like us to get?"
right,
I
yeah,
think it's like once or twice a year they do it. And, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." And I've written a few things here and there of things that I would like to see, you know?
right,
And, why not do that? Like, they're basically saying, "Hey, what do you want to see us put out?" And you write them what you want to put out. You send it
right,
to them, and if they can get it, they get it. But to see people bitch and complain that they're so and so shojo, shonen, whatever you want to say title
right,
is not out is fucking stupid.
right.
You know?
I think it's really weird just in those demographics too, where you have people that corner themselves into only being able to read that stuff.
But to say like, "Oh, more shonen stuff's coming out." I'm not the biggest shonen fan whatsoever.
Yeah,
I'm not. Battle shonen is like my fucking kryptonite.
yeah.
For a lot of times, like a lot of times, it's my fucking kryptonite.
Well,
And
I mean, the other thing with it is how do you know, like, what if part of it over in Japan is actually shoujo manga, but
yeah,
because of it toting the line over here, it's considered shonen,
it's a possibility. I don't know, but I don't feel like they necessarily get their demographics wrong.
right?
But I think fans go about it all the wrong way especially when they complain about shojo manga not coming out here. I feel like it possibly that shojo manga has gotten more of a voice in the past like year or so,
Yeah,
and we're getting more of it out here. You know, speak with your dollar. You know,
right,
like that's all you can do. Regardless if it's physical, digital, and you want to read it, pick it up.
right,
Don't bitch about it not coming out over here. I mean, if you want to get technical, there are other ways to get manga.
that's true.
but I'm not going to condone
and
that.
then we lead into the pirating podcast right here.
Parroting the pirates. But
God
like,
damn it! You know I love that because it's so stupid.
but like, yeah, even myself, even myself, I have been discriminated against because of the manga that I like. And the manga I like, a lot of it's seinen, you know?
Right,
And I'm getting discriminated against my own gender.
right,
You know, the people who are supposed to that demographic is supposed to be for, you know?
right. Yeah,
And I'm getting called like a fucking freak, a sicko, a pervert because I like to see a pair of titties sometimes. You know?
yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I can't win on either side.
Right. Well, I mean, you know the weird thing, like I feel like whenever people make like hentai manga or anything, that
Yeah.
hentai is set up just to be
Mm-hmm.
ero in general.
Uh-huh.
And I know like we saw the thing where it said ladies manga
Yeah.
or, gentlemen's manga or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else the other thing is, but like
Yeah.
I feel like when that comes over here, there's not a demographic for it. There's not a specific.
Yeah.
It you're just under the hentai umbrella, so you
Yeah.
either like it or you don't.
I agree with that, I agree with that, to each their own when it comes to reading manga or etchy shit. But I have to say, don't be ashamed of what you read, regardless of what it is. Like, don't be ashamed.
That's true.
Don't
Because
don't let people.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that will be your best friend because they were like, "Oh man, what's the movie? Is it Pineapple Express or Super Bad? Where the guy drew a bunch of penises like all the time and had the lunchbox full of them."
Super bad.
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's kind of the thing. Like that guy, even though it was a dramatization, had a friend.
yeah,
You know, so I mean, that might be your cup of tea or whatever, but you have people that are going to be in that friend group that
yeah,
probably are also too scared to take the first step. So,
yeah. Or those people who are complaining about it are secretly like uncomfortable with their sexuality,
that's
and they
true.
and they secretly like the etchy titty shit as well.
That's true.
You know,
That is very true.
like all those people who complain about fan service in their manga. You're not going to get rid of fan service, regardless if it's perverted fan service or not. It's in your manga because it's for the fans. If
Right.
you don't like it, if you
And
don't like it,
I redid one of our thumbnails today
uh
for
huh,
fan service.
uh
And
huh,
if you type in fan service, it pops up dudes without the shirts on,
yeah,
swimmers, guys where it looks like the line of their pants is about to fall down, where you can see their junk, like all this different stuff. And I was sitting there thinking
yeah.
about it like, how
If
weird is it for fan service? And yet, like seeing some of the pictures and stuff they had of it from different animes and mangas and whatnot, I was sitting there like, how many people sit here and go, I don't like fan service or whatever?
yeah,
And then you find an image of like some of the manga that they read, and you're like, people consider this fan service. That's so funny.
the thing is, like, those people. I don't want to get on fan service topics. We're talking about demographics, but
Right,
um, those people who hate fan service, and when you see definition for fan service, it's fan service for the fans, for the manga fans. If you
right.
hate fan service, does that mean you're not a fan of manga?
That sounds like a really low blow to some people.
Does that mean you're not a fan of manga because you hate fan service and fan service is for the fans, for the manga?
Right? Well, I mean, then you have to get into the argument too of if you like this person's work, like
Yeah.
let's take the Dr. Stone guy. You know,
Akira Toriyama?
is that his name?
Yeah, Toriyama. Dragon Ball guy.
That did Dr. Stone.
Oh, Dr. Stone. Oh, I was thinking of Dr. Slump.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
no, no.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of Dr. Slump in my head.
No. So, and the guy that did Dr. Stone, like many people love that series.
Yeah.
But people don't really think about it too much that he got his roots out of
Hentai,
doing
right?
hentai manga. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you condemn because they do that, and they probably do it off and on.
And they probably made good money off of that shit.
They probably still do part of that art and
Yeah.
make good money off of it.
Yeah.
That's probably like their side gig.
There was the SAO guy, the Sword Art Online guy.
Hmm.
He did like I think it was like a doujinshi chapter. It was like point something chapter where Asuna and Kirito spend the night together
Yeah.
in the comic and the anime, but you never see what happens.
Right.
And then he put out what happens in that night. And let's just say it
Oh,
was pretty raunchy.
you've read that?
No, I've heard a coworker talk about it because they're a big SAO fan.
Okay.
They told me, like, they asked me, like, hey, do you know what like 13.5 is or whatever the chapter was?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's when Asuna and Kirito like bump uglies, and I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, really?
Right.
I was like, is this in the manga? And he's like, no, it's only online. And I was like, God damn it. They could have put that in there for like an extra. Even though I'm not like a Sword Art Online fan,
Yeah.
but I want to see what Asuna looks like
They
naked.
could have had the SAO X editions come out.
XAO XXX.
Yeah, edition wrapped in
Yeah.
plastic and everything.
Yeah.
And it's the same as the regular stuff that came out,
Yeah.
but all the .5 chapters are in it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be crazy.
How
Right?
many people would be picking that up?
Yeah. Well,
So
anyways, what were we talking about?
demographics.
Oh, whether or not they. Did we already talk about whether or not if it hampers? Do you think it hampers your collecting?
And me personally,
You personally, or just in general? Did we
no.
talk about that?
So I don't think it hampers me personally,
Uh-huh.
but I think it does hamper some people personally.
Yeah. Do you feel like people maybe like die on that sword?
Definitely.
Like it's their be all end all to just collect shonen manga,
Yes.
and like you're like, do you ever feel like people like look down on you because of the manga you buy?
Because of my taste.
Yeah.
For me in general, no, but I know that it's probably that way for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I get to hide behind that whole thing of, oh my gosh, you have so much manga that nobody's going to come at me and say, oh, well, this time when you did this manga haul or whatever, you collected too much shonen or
Yeah.
too much of something. They're just going to be like, oh my gosh.
I
But
don't.
for people smaller than that,
Uh-huh.
I do think that there's probably this whole, you get painted into a corner over certain
Yeah.
things like that.
I think possibly if you're like newer to collecting or younger, you can possibly fall into that trap of getting pigeonholed with what you're collecting.
Right.
Maybe if it's by influence from a friend
And I think that that's probably another thing too, because most people, I feel like, do that through the influence of like MangaTube and other things like
yeah.
that. And I don't think people should do that because
No.
you're going to do it off of hype instead of off
Yeah.
of if it's
And
something
then
you
what if
really
you
like.
what if you buy something and you get like 15 volumes into it and you're like, I fucking hate this.
Right. Well,
You know?
I mean, like perfect example was I'm Standing on 1,000 Lives because you bought it.
Yeah, but I bought it not knowing about it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is the hype, and
I was
and,
more like,
and I'd taken it off my list to even get
uh-huh.
just because I was like, okay, well the concept might not be something I like, and then you started telling me that, and I was like, well shit, like let me put this back on my list. You're like, I'll just send it to you.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I didn't even know about it, and I was like, oh, I'm staying on a million lives. This sounds interesting.
Right.
And the cover caught my eye, and I was like, this guy standing on a huge pile of dead bodies,
Right.
And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. I got it home, and I was like,
what did I pick up?
And I was like, it's just okay. It didn't rock my world.
Right.
I think I might even said that in the review I did,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know anything about the hype. Like the hype didn't even catch up to me until like I looked like a year later and had over 1,000 views on a video,
Right. Didn't
and I
rock.
was like,
Didn't rock your Casbah.
and I was like, wait, people actually watch this shit? I think it's
Right.
because the anime came out for that one.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Do you have something to say or
You
no?
said indubitably.
Uh, yeah. So this is what I think, and this is how I feel. Uh, I don't like manga demographics, and like I said earlier, I do feel like it could hurt you when you're collecting. But I do see why we have manga demographics.
Right.
But I don't. I feel like it's been misinterpreted, as in like if you're a girl, you have to read this. If you're a boy, you have to read this. Quote. I'm using that as an example. I'm not saying if you're a girl, you just have to read shoujo
I'm gonna
or
I'm going
josei.
to attack you, Mike. Okay?
No, it's not
How
the first
how
time.
dare you say that?
But like, I feel like those those demographics are kind of really outdated,
Right.
and
No.
I don't feel maybe they've needed over in Japan, but I feel like they're not needed over here in the US.
Right.
Because if you really sit and look at it, like manga demographics are kind of sexist.
That's true.
Like when you stop and think and you're like, oh, well, I can't read this because I'm a dude, but I want to read it, but it says it's for women and not for males. Am I allowed to read it,
Right. I mean, most def. I mean, because then
I'm
if
just
you look,
thinking as like a person who's just getting into manga, probably. That's
yeah,
what I feel like maybe the thought process would be.
right.
But go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, I feel exactly that way too. Especially like because
Mm-hmm.
you're also gonna paint like this weird image, and stick with me. So this is gonna sound
All
weird,
right.
but you have boys love, which obviously is directed towards girls.
Or
You get that.
or dudes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Boys love is just either that or you're gay,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
certain thing. Like because that's not saying that there's not a straight guy that wouldn't read it, but that's just
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of any straight guys actually
Mm-hmm.
reading it. It's always been that because it is boys love.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like it's that argument where that's not that's not uh yaoi or yuri. It's almost like it's two different things
Uh-huh.
because like I own yaoi, but
But yaoi is boys love.
right, but to an extent because then you have the boys love
Uh-huh.
that is also like this
So
the more raunchy stuff.
are we saying yaoi and boys love are different
We're
but
we're
also the
saying
same thing?
we're saying boys love is yaoi, but yaoi is not boys love.
Okay, you're saying boys love is like the next step, or like you're like, oh, there's a penis.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean,
I don't know. I'm not a yaoi expert. I've never read yaoi.
yeah.
So, but I have read Yuri.
Well, I mean, the what did you eat yesterday
Well,
is
I
that way.
haven't read that.
You know.
I haven't read that.
Well, I mean, you've read Androgynous and his boyfriend and stuff too. So,
No, I haven't.
what's the one that you read?
Oh wait, I read Love Me.
Love Me for Who I Am.
Love Me for Who I Am. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
See.
That is a yaoi. Yeah. I guess I have.
Ah.
I guess I have. You know what? They're all dressed up as women.
Yeah.
I always forget that they're dudes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just it. Like, I don't feel like we should have that stipulation of things on that because, like, you've read it, you enjoy that, but that makes it sound like you said sexist for that reason.
Yeah,
But if they just said, "Hey, this is an LGBTQ manga" or something like that, then
maybe.
it seems a lot better because then you're like, okay, well, this I'm reading this for this reason,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
I mean, yeah, I have no problem with that classification because I know people are throwing that terminology around,
Right.
like on YouTube when it comes to the LGBTQ
Q
plus
plus, yeah.
exclamation point equal sign.
Oh my god,
when
definitely
it
not.
comes to that, I know people are wanting to classify some things like that, and that might make things easier to classify them under,
Right.
instead of just yaoi and yuri. I mean, you obviously can tell what is what by like the cover you pick up, you know.
Not all the time though,
Sometimes, maybe just a little
because
bit.
like one of the ones that one of your favorites, like I thought it was like shojo or josei for like the longest time, which is
What
not
was that?
lives, not
Oh no!
lives.
Well, not lives. Not lives pretends to be on the cover as a dating sim.
Exactly. So like
But
that's what I'm saying.
it's actually like a really violent battle shonen manga. Like
Right.
really violent.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like we should go off of demographics because there would be less confusion on things like that.
Well, I feel like, and this is just how I feel as an older manga reader. To me, I feel like you can get rid of demographics, and you
Right.
don't really need them. I feel like demographics are kind of like what the ESRB is for video games.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're a child, you can play E for everybody titles.
Right.
Then you get to teen, and then I think no, there's E, and I think like E plus
Yeah. I think it's E plus and E14.
or something like that. There's like a middle ground between E and teen,
Yeah.
and then you get teen, and you get mature, and you get like the adult titles.
Right.
I feel like if we got rid of demographics and went with like for everybody, for teens, mature readers, stuff like that, I think people might possibly check out more titles that they might be interested in, and might not have like the fear of people judging them because they're reading quote a shojo title, but
Right.
it's it separates that divide that we have between the male and female demographics.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not saying you can't
Right.
still
Because
write those same stories. You just
right.
get rid of those titles.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I agree that it should be put to an age because as the stipulation of it instead of this gender
Mm-hmm.
role thing
Yeah.
because like we just said with LGBTQ manga, like
It's
then
kind of
how
like
do you really put that out there? Like
it's kind of like
how do you throw that out there and say, well, this is for somebody that's transgendered or whatever? And I
yeah,
feel like we have to like label things that way,
yeah.
or people feel like you have to label things that way, almost like the whole like bathroom thing. Oh well,
Oh yeah.
male and female, and here's this, or it can't be like a here's all these different
Yeah.
ones, and everybody
It
uses
it
whatever.
it's kind of like almost remember like I'll say like back in the day, but back in the day, like when you were like a kid and be like, "Oh, you're a boy. You play with cap guns and cars.
Yeah,
And what do you play if you're a girl? A doll."
right.
Play
Or like
play
you're a girl, you play with Barbies, and you're a
you
boy,
play with a
you play
kitchen
with
set.
GI Joes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had girlfriends who played with GI Joes.
Hey, you know what? I had GI Joes that had Barbie friends that were my sisters.
Sometimes I play with Barbies too.
Hey, I always thought that sometimes people needed other people to come home to,
Yeah,
or some of those girls are going to be on the front line because they were going to help.
Joe got on leave and he had to come back to Barbie.
Right?
So to come back to the dream
There you go.
house.
There you go.
Know?
That's how Barbie first split up with Ken, was with Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, "I love a man in uniform."
Or maybe
Kent, Kent, are
maybe
you in the army? No,
maybe
Kent's not in the army.
maybe Joe swapped his hairstyle and he became Ken.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
I'm,
Like
I'm tired of living this rugged life. I'm gonna become a pretty boy.
when you think about it, like we don't need these. I feel like we don't need these uh conformities when it comes to manga.
Right. I mean, especially with
These gender conformities,
especially with the changing times.
and that's weird for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the changing times. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like it might just maybe possibly confuse people. I mean, we've had these for years, but it
We
might
have.
confuse or just it dissuade people from trying new things.
That's true.
And that's something that we don't need because we want all mangas to come out here, right?
Right.
And we want all people to read, I don't know, No Gun's Life or Akira or Hellsing or Battle Angel Alita, Pokemon, Gigant. I'm just naming things off my shelf. Everybody wants to read Reincarnated as a Polar Bear, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or, I mean, and it's easy.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we got rid of those and say, "Oh, it's a shoujo," they're like, "What's a shoujo?" And you're like, "Oh, it's for girls."
Right. Right.
Well,
and I mean, I mean, just looking at other stuff like that, like we have, cartoons and stuff that
yeah,
I feel like is niche when it
hmm
comes down to cartoons or like the other shows that I do for the podcast and whatnot. Like you have a bunch of people that read manga. Those shows are things that they watch most of the time.
yeah,
Steven Universe, Starburst vs. Evil, Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty, the whole nine yards. And there's not a stipulation on that. Rick and Morty doesn't say
yeah. Like
I'm for boys or I'm
look
for
at
girls.
look at Star Wars. Like Star Wars doesn't have a demographic. I mean, I know a
Exactly.
lot.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter doesn't have a demographic. Like my kids both sit down and watch Star Wars together. It doesn't matter if they're a boy or girl.
Right.
Just watch Star Wars. It doesn't matter. Star Wars doesn't care what your gender is.
Right.
But
So
manga apparently does.
I guess so.
I guess so. I don't know.
So, oh man, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. You want to wrap
But
this up?
what do you think? What do you think are alternative forms that we could use to swap that up?
Like alternative like names?
Yeah, or like alternative
Okay.
ways to group manga and stuff together.
Go by genre of what if it's like action, adventure, romance.
So go
Kind of
by
like how we have genres for books at bookstores.
okay, yeah,
Like self-help, educational, romance, stuff like that,
yeah.
Like just get rid of
So we do that and then go by age.
yeah. Get rid of these titles
Yeah,
that are gender specific.
gender conforming.
Yeah, gender conforming. Like just get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah,
Or don't even care. Don't even care what demographic they are.
right,
Just don't even worry about it, and you just be like, "Oh, this sounds interesting. I'm gonna buy it."
right. Yeah,
You know? That's how I feel we could do it. Just call it by like what genre it is instead of this is for boys, girls.
right.
What if you're both? What if you're a hermaphrodite?
Well, I mean,
Does that cancel it out?
oh my god, no, I don't think so. But I mean, that gets you into the discussion of trans, non-binary, pan,
Yeah.
all the other stuff,
Yeah. Do we have
So-
a they them comic?
right,
Like manga or whatever?
right, or is it written in such a way where you can't tell if the main character is a boy or a girl?
Like androgynous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, like all the way, like
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I don't know what you are. What you know.
No, but I mean that would be really cool because it would put it in the perspective of the person reading it if there
Well,
was one that came
didn't
out
they
like
have
that.
that androgynous boyfriend manga?
They did, but androgynous boyfriend,
Oh,
I think, like the main character's like
you
gender
would just call it and be like my androgynous
here and there.
friend,
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying though, if a manga was written where you were basically presented as the main character,
or be like my androgynous life partner. I don't know.
yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but you never really got to see the main character. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't see their face,
Oh,
and they would
like
have
how men are portrayed in
clothes on that,
hentai.
huh?
Like how men are portrayed in hentai. How like you never see
Probably.
their face, you know?
Yeah, yeah, kind of like that.
Like there's always that shadow cast over their eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just would never know. It'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, what is that?
I mean that's how I feel like we could fix things, but I don't feel like I'm gonna be the person to fix it because I just don't give a
Definitely.
shit in my
I,
manga reading.
I don't think any of us would be able to fix that.
You know, I mean, sometimes the Japanese get set in their ways. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, nor do you even feel like. I mean, did you feel like people would move on that and actually try
I
and get
don't
it
know.
fixed, or is it such a small thing to them that people don't care and would conform to it?
It might be such a small thing people just don't even care,
Yeah.
and it's just like the small few care, and it might be like an echo chamber,
Yeah.
but they only care because their specific demographic.
Right.
You know, because I mean, you don't know if it's big or if it's an echo chamber. You know.
Right. And I mean, the weird thing with this is the fact of how we do have kind of like this almost like sexism in manga and stuff.
Yeah.
And we haven't touched on other things. Like we haven't really gotten into things coming out like race wise for manga and stuff.
Oh, race wise. Oh, pff,
Like we have stuff, but people aren't going to consider it manga because
yeah.
it came out in America. It's almost like the whole argument about, oh well, is Avatar
The
the Last Airbender manga or anime or not? You know,
yeah. Yeah.
so
Oh, don't even open those can of worms. Yeah.
stay tuned for next week when we
Well, I
talk
mean,
about
I do know, like, I
where
know,
we
like,
talk about. Stay tuned for next week where we talk about if Avatar is a cartoon or an anime.
what's it classified under Netflix under?
Animation.
Netflix is the be all end all, right, for anime, right?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
But like, what was I gonna say? Like, even like when you have a manga and it's written by Americans or not Americans, um, they even have a hard time sometimes breaking into the manga scene
Yeah,
because they're not like, oh, quote, wasn't made in Japan. But we also have manhwa, which is not made in Japan, you know.
no, that's Korea.
But I mean, I don't know if that has a hard time breaking into anime. And there was that French. That was like a French comic or French book, Radiant. That was made by a non Japanese dude. At
I
least
know.
the original story was.
I know the Breaker manga is out of like Germany or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, Radiant was, and you had all those ones that Tokyo Pop did. I know Seven Seas used to do a lot of like American manga
Yeah,
when they first started.
right.
But I mean, that's a whole different story. Like it's our topic to talk about, like why didn't
That
those succeed or
right.
whatever?
I mean, it would just be like us talking about the whole discussion of characters that being whitewashed and stuff.
Oh yeah,
So
don't even get me started on
yeah,
that.
I mean, there's plenty of things that are out there for all this crap. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
anyway, guys, thanks
Anyways,
for listening to our show.
where can they find us, Jen?
You can find us next Tuesday.
No, like where on social media?
In between two slices of bread.
Where Where can they find us? Where
You
can they
can-
find the podcast?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, sometimes on Twitter. And you can find us at all major platforms, i.e., Apple Podcasts, where I usually listen to it, or Spotify, like we usually post for you guys, lovely people out there to listen to.
Or Anchor, Google Podcasts.
Yes,
Yes.
there's plenty. There's plenty. You know, just type
Yeah.
Otakuology in and see where it takes you.
Yeah. If you put us up on Google, you'll find us easily.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, concerns, or future topics you'd like us to cover, or
Let
manga,
us
or
let us
whatever, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know at
Let us know.
otakuologypodcast@gmail.com.
And drop us some questions about this. You know, I know that we covered like a lot of what we thought about this, but I mean everybody's got their own way of thinking and what they think
Yeah.
about it, and you know,
Let us know. Are we
anybody
wrong?
that wants to put a thing up there or whatever, you know, we respect people's opinions.
Yeah. We're not going to say your opinion sucks.
Right? It will. I mean, we might say that your opinion sucks, but
No. We're not going to say that.
no.
But-
I mean, like your opinion.
Oh, like my opinion sucks?
Yeah, your opinion.
Well, they wouldn't be the first.
Exactly.
But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you would like to contact us, you can do that at otakuologypodcast@gmail.com
Right.
or on our Instagram at Otakuology Podcast. And let us know what your opinions are about this. We'll put this out next week and, you know, listen to it. Let's have a good, healthy conversation about this.
Right. And as always, make sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
And don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Bye.